The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, another partner, code word for the West, have been funding unethical experiments that could end Africans' potential as the primary raw resources provider of the world and lead to the recolonization of Africa.
Population growth in poor countries is the biggest problem they face. We're taking things that are, genetically modified organisms, and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein.
A computer engineer who didn't even program his initial product himself, a valid representative of the pharmaceutical industry.
I have read a lot of books about that topic.
Now that it's becoming more and more evident that the medication you were promoting, whilst having heavily invested in it yourself, thus making billions of it.
This is not how the world works.
Has caused countless injuries, side effects, and death.
First, we've got population. Now, the world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. Huge change in the mortality rates in developing countries, which then has this effect of reducing population growth. That's a big benefit that then makes everything like education and
Bill
nutrition.
Gates, 2015, everyone knows this, spoke that the world population needs to be reduced by 10 to 15%. So here's my question. It's a rhetorical question. Why would I take a vaccine for my health, which is financed and produced by someone who wants to decrease the world population?
Northern Nigeria, northern India.
Inside the Institute of Agricultural Research, IAR, at the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, Kaduna State, Nigeria, the TELA Maize was developed.
Presently, I am inside the new variety of maize farm known as TELA Maize. This was planted on 1st of September. And as you can see, it's ripe and ready to be harvested in the next 3 weeks.
Growing this maize, the farmer is sure to save two important constraints. That is additional cost of production. It will reduce cost of production by almost 15%.
Yes, this seed demonstrated in this farm, it will bring a great impact to the maize farmers.
Why Nigeria? Nigeria has the largest black population in the world, making it a strategic target in capturing the whole of Africa.
When you say Nigeria, a giant of Africa, Nigeria is the largest nation in Africa, largest economy.
If Nigeria falls, it will be easier to capture Africa.
Nigeria is falling. Nigeria is not like before again. I don't have anything to say, but Nigeria is falling. Understand? Nigeria is falling.
It started with orchestrated political, social, and economic unrest
of Nigerians who are struggling to survive.
Received credible and disturbing evidence that Nigerian security forces shot and killed at least 12 people taking part in peaceful protests last night in the country's largest city, Lagos.
Can you see what is happening now? They want to make sure they suppress others from voting.
Protests against election officials.
You get rich by solving a problem. You get richer by making a problem that you can solve. Farmers were displaced from their farms because of insecurity. But who is funding these terrorists? How do they precisely locate farmers in the middle of nowhere?
First, when we talk about the insecurity that we are facing as farmers, a lot of farms have been abandoned. As at 2012, 12 trillion worth of project has been abandoned in the agri space. About 332 farmers have been killed between January and now, and that tells you what the farmers are facing. And another report says it's not even 332, it's 2,134 thereabout. And in the same period last year, we are talking of 128 people killed. And of course, we know it's not everything that's even been reported. So that tells you who hears such numbers and wants to go to farm.
It was 2016 or 2017 when 71 people were killed in Agatu in Benue. If you look, when they deployed the IGF police and the army, it was to Tunga, it was to my farm. So supposedly that's where the attackers took off from, crossed the River Benue and carried out their attacks. Now what happens is the reprisal comes in this direction. And then I'm also across from Wokari, which is a troubled community in Taraba. So every time there's conflict there between the Tiv and the Drikon, again, my farm, whatever is going on in the rural community is going to affect your ability to feed.
Food production crashed. A country with over 70% farmers have scarcity of food. Prices of food increases exponentially.
Mother to our nephew Muhammad. The 4-month-old lost his mother to complications from severe malnutrition. Amina tries to breastfeed him, but she too needs nourishment. Aisha is 6 months old. Doctors say the lesions on her frail body indicate how serious her condition is.
Some of these severely malnourished are brought here for specialized care.
Nigerians have been warned to brace up for serious food crises ahead following the menace of banditry and flooding currently ravaging the country. Prices of food items are skyrocketing in various supermarkets across the West African nation. And the
prices of commodities have hit high as both vendors, buyers and sellers have attributed various reasons why this happens. This is a basket of tomato that goes ordinarily for as low as 5,000. But today, it has recorded almost 200% of increase. The market economy today has defied the law of nature as price of goods and services that go up rarely comes down. And this has significantly affected the living standard of ordinary Nigerians.
Alas, a solution: GMO maize that has the ability to survive with little water and nutrients. Hope for farmers, like seeds wherever the problem.
21 years trying to educate people about the dangers of GMO.
And a recent study showed that the genetic engineering process of a certain type of corn increased the proteins in the corn that are not only linked to allergies and to cancer, but they're called putrescine and cadaverine because they because they create
for putrid?
Exactly. These proteins are responsible for the smell of a rotting dead body. And they're in higher amounts in Monsanto's corn.
And we eat that.
That's right. So the process of genetic engineering itself can cause these problems, higher levels of allergens and toxins and putrescine. Then you have corn that produces its own toxic insecticide, which breaks open the stomach of the insects and kills it. And a 2012 study showed that it can poke holes in human cells as well. And a recent study showed that when rats were fed this BT corn, it's called, they had severe damage in their digestive tract.
Genetically modified foods. Genetically modified foods cause cancer because genetically modified foods are a result of the DNA of two species being spliced together. Is the substances that are broken down in the body after eating genetically modified foods are not known in the body and have the ability to tamper and even damage our DNA.
The insects wouldn't go near it, but we should eat it. At the end, when there are no longer indigenous seeds, we have to buy seeds from the West before we can grow our crops. If they control food production, they control everything.